Evening all. We're here. Sorry for the lateness, peeps. Sorry, MC. We've just finished up in the pub, as it were. We've just had last orders, so we're here now, mate. We do apologise. Saturday, 22nd of May. I hope we find you all well today, and your post-lockdown life is getting back to normal if you're in the UK. With personal experience this week, I think getting back to normal is going to be a big underestimation. I think there's going to be a wave of some other problems coming, but that's just me. So yeah, I hope you're all very good today. And you're looking forward to tonight. Again, it seems to have been a quiet week. Nothing much happening in the world of Hollywood, apart from the non-news event that Dave Filoni and his big 10-gallon hats is, I don't know the exact term of his new job title, executive creator stroke producer or something, at Lucasfilm. It was announced this week on the Lucasfilm website, apparently, but he's been in place for a while. So it's, as I said, it's a bit of a non-news event on that one. Also on the Lucasfilm stuff, Rangers of one of the many series that Lucasfilm presented to us in that presentation. Rangers of the New Republic is not being actively produced any longer. Meaning, hello, Sklavko, meaning it's gone. So there you go. That's gone. I'd probably feel much like the Mandalorian. As I've said previously, I don't think we're going to see the Mandalorian again, but I may be wrong. Finally, on the Lucas fronts, and this is hot news, KK is stuck in a static warp bubble in the foyer of the company, and she's unable to leave. So she's still not out the door. Apparently, Brie Larson is on the way to boot her out the door, and apparently going to save Luke and Star Wars. So Brie Larson up for the task. My favourite, by the way. What else has been happening? Here you go. Yes. Warner Brothers. And their new Dark Lord, JJ, doesn't seem to be interested in bringing Henry back for a Superman. So somebody else has stepped in. I think it's Lionsgate. A couple of our guests were talking about it today. Lionsgate has stepped in to do. Apparently, he's in the. They're going to try and make him the lead of Highlander. He's going to be the one. So there you go. So that's going to be developing. I think is it the guy from John Wick who's developing that? So was it Chad Straczynski or something? So that's going to be pretty good. So that's basically the news that's been happening this week. Shall we introduce the guests? I think we should. First up is the Jester from Leicester, the channel's very own painter and decorator, novelist, massive Star Wars fan. It's his birthday on Tuesday. The great Demonscythe, Synthwave, or as we like to call him on the channel, Swap Shop. Here he is. Hello, mate.
Hello.
Are you well?
I am fairly well. I've not got a cold like some other people. I've maybe got a little bit of a hay fever type thing coming on, just a little bit of a stuffy nose, nothing to really cry about. Been running today, and I'm not aching and falling apart, so I can't complain too much. No.
Good man. You've been streaming, haven't you?
Did have a bit of a live stream earlier on this afternoon after I got back from the run. Yeah. That's the first time.
Who was that with?
That was Dan on Facebook. I've only ever heard one or two of his streams before. So
he's a good lad, is Dan.
It was good to meet a couple of new people actually. Yeah, that was good fun.
Yes, very, very professional. He's a good lad. So yeah, he gave me my first break. So yeah, Dan Hadley, Spacebook channel, everybody. Good channel.
Very good.
Good channel. Shall bring the next guest in?
Oh, do it.
Next up, the man with the biggest helmet on YouTube. He also owns a volcano somewhere exotic, and I'm told he likes coconuts. Here he is, our very own Commander Culture.
Hello. Hi, everybody. How are we doing this fine evening?
I'm not too bad. Are you good, sir?
I am doing excellent. Yes, the volcano fortress is in tip-top shape, and we are broadcasting live here.
No grey suited ninjas attacking this evening?
Not this evening, no. That might have to do with the fact that we're fostering a new dog that dropped down a shaft, and so he's kept the gray-suited ninjas and the tuxedo-suited Scottish-British guys away.
So is he like the, like the Alsatians in Terminator? He can bark when the ninjas start approaching, yes?
Sort of. I kind of think he's more like the Dobermans in The Mouth of Madness, where he just kind of appears out of nowhere and like chases until he vanishes in the mist. But yeah, he's good at keeping them away.
And speaking of Dobermans, how's the wife? Is she okay?
She's doing well. Yeah, she's got her hands full, and so we're hoping to get her on one of your streams here pretty soon. But that's going to take a team of wild horses, so I've got to finish putting that team together.
Yes, Mrs. Commander, we are desperate for some female interaction on the channel, and we bestowed the honor to you, my dear. So yes, that would be great.
I know she's listening, so that plea will help push her in the right direction.
I didn't mean it about the Doberman, by the way.
I'll let her know.
That's called British humor.
I'm teaching her slowly. So
we will get there in the end. The mic sounds great, my friend, and it's always a genuine pleasure to have you on. Thank you for coming on, mate.
Yep.
And last but not least, here he is. He's full of the cold. The wise elder of the channel, the writer, the producer, director, and paid-up member of the Selfridges Appreciation Society. He is the great mega geek himself, Ian David Diaz.
Hello, everybody. How are you doing?
Hello.
I've got a really bad cold. We're sniffling all the way through this.
Have you been to Nottingham today?
Yeah. Love that advert.
You need tunes, mate.
Yeah.
You need tunes.
Well, I just had what was it? Lemsip fluent thingy just now. I hate Lemsips. It tastes horrible. Plus, you have to drink it with hot, and it's just.
I know. Yeah, it's the only way it works, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, welcome to the Old Man channel, everybody.
Yeah.
Could I just say to Ian,
the Ailments channel.
It could be a lot worse, right? A few years ago, when I was at college, I had this Chinese girlfriend, and bless her, she brought me all these herbs and spices and things like that from her family because she knew I had a bad cold, right? She came to visit. I was in Merseyside, she was in London. She came all the way to visit, and she brought this. She brought these little sachets, tear them all open, pour them into a pot, boil the water for about like an hour, and then you have to drink it like red hot, right? So I did all this, and it honestly, it tasted like boiled fag ash water, right? and honestly, you have to like really just throw it down your throat, otherwise it didn't work, and it was one of the worst experiences. But I tell you what, it worked, but just be grateful you don't have to go through that.
Yeah. I think my mum, because she's from the West Indies, she always makes me try and drink salt water. If you got a sore throat, gargle salt water.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah,
I hate doing that. I hate it. But anyway,
yeah.
Speaking of Chinese remedies, Tiger Balm is quite good. The kind of the Vicks.
Yeah, I've got Vicks here actually.
Just before you go to bed, just blab it all over the back of your neck and shoulders and chest. And just go to bed, mate.
Yeah, my mum told me to do that.
So you've got to.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, go ahead, mate.
You've got to. Everybody should love their mum.
It's true. It is absolutely true. If you
You
don't love
come
your mum,
Yeah.
there's something wrong with you. That's what I say.
Your mum is where you come from, where you came from, where you were created. There's always that special bond.
Especially if you've got a loving mum, and you can.
Fantastic.
And she's a absolutely brilliant mother, to all her kids. If you got one of them, keep hold of them. I tell you, because when they're gone, mate. I tell you, and they'll leave a big hole in your heart. So there you go.
Yeah.
Enough said.
23 years ago, man. Gee. Oh,
Horrible. It's horrible when my dad went. My dad went must have been about 20 years as well. He went, and that was a big hole in my heart too. But
mine's still with us, and he will be here till about 130, knowing him, just to spite me. But there you go.
Will he beat
Yes. Whoever it is, yes, he'll beat him. Yes,
okay, probably.
So, shall we do it then, boys? Talk about shit. Yeah. Obviously, you guys, Swap Shop and Geek, were talking on Dan's channel today, kind of about Superman.
Yeah.
Mr. Cavill. Any kind of quick thoughts before? Because obviously you guys covered it today. So, any kind of quick thoughts about Cavill for Highlander?
Well, I don't. I mean, I think he'll be okay. Dan doesn't like Cavill at all. Thinks he's just a plank of wood, and I can see what he means because he hasn't really been tested yet as an actor yet. Let's face it, because the stuff he's done so far has just been kind of mediocre. All the films it's been in. But I still think it's a bad idea to remake old classic movies. I think they should be left alone now, and we should create something original. That's what I think.
Yeah, there's only one, and it should be Mr. Lambert.
Yeah.
Swappers?
No, I agree. I mean, I said earlier on, which I didn't know because I've never watched the TV series, but I think they should try something new with it, like some kind of artificially creating, immortals to fight the actual immortals or something, like having some kind of global crisis happening, with where the immortals have kind of got to save mankind, but they also want to fight each other. Add something new to it, but you're always going to get the problem with that it's either A, a remake, B, a reboot, or C, a sequel, and those three are just not good ideas, really. Everyone is crying out now for new IPs and new ideas, and we should just stop going back to the well for stuff that's been done already.
Yeah.
God knows how many sequels that never worked out,
Yeah.
Maybe a rehash should be the correct term, a rehash.
No, I honestly think that they should stop remaking stuff now. There are plenty of ideas out there. I mean, I just mentioned one today on Dan's channel, Jupiter. What was it called? Jupiter
Ascending or something.
Ascending.
Or something
and it was good. It was worth my time. It's not for everybody, but it was worth my time. So there are original stuff out. Oxygen is another movie.
Sci-fi, is it?
Yeah, both of them. So, well, actually, Jupiter Rising is a superhero series, and Oxygen is a movie, and it's sci-fi, and it's really good. Those two movies are really good. So, try them out, and those two are original. So, well, I think
Jupiter's Legacy.
Yeah, Legacy. That's it. It's based on.
Well done, MC, the wingman of the channel. Coming through again. Well done, mate. I would just say hello to Cruel Birab and happy birthday for I think it was Thursday, wasn't it, mate?
Happy birthday, mate.
He says there can only be one.
Yeah.
And there can. So, Commander, any thoughts on Cavill doing Highlander?
Well, I like him as an actor. I like him even better as a I don't want to say as a person necessarily because I don't know him all that well, but what I do know is that he seems to respect the fans, and he seems to respect what the fans want and need. And so in that way, he's a classic type actor. And so really they could cast him as anything, from Hamlet to, a Jim Carrey remake, and he could probably do a serviceable job. But whether or not Highlander is the right property to do that in, I tend to agree with the Mega Geek that, we just should probably leave some of these older things alone, because there are, there's countless new ideas out there. You guys mentioned Jupiter Ascending. I was just thinking in my head of The Expanse, or
Yeah.
I was thinking like Chronicles of Riddick. Maybe
I
that
do
was
like that film
or something. But these sort of things that kind of come out of nowhere, and it's like, hey, nobody ever thought of that. That's a pretty cool idea. And there's all kinds of people. They could tap any four of us, and we could give them a great idea. So to go back and mine these old IPs is getting really, really tiresome, not just because of the cultural vandalism that goes on internal to that, but just we're looking at sort of a dead model, which is to resurrect in a 21st century way these great old properties. And we saw that with Total Recall. We saw that with Robocop. We saw that, it's just they can't do it even when they have good actors and good producers and stuff.
See, the thing is that what spoils the remakes is that they have to keep answering to the audience of today and to the tone of today.
Yeah.
So if the tone's really bad and we're talking about feminism and all that kind of stuff, they kind of try and stick that into the remake.
Intersectional.
And if you look at the remake of Robocop very carefully, it's an awful movie. It wasn't even hard edge as the original.
He wasn't allowed to make it, was he?
Yeah, it was just basically a sci-fi movie, but with but it was called Robocop. There was nothing special about it at all.
Right? And they could have done a man in a robot suit, movie, and not called it Robocop, and changed just a couple of things, and it would have been a lot more satisfying, I think, just as like, oh, that's a good, nice B movie sort of thing. We'll just, enjoy it for what it is. But instead they purchased the Robocop label, slapped it onto a movie that it didn't really fit and wasn't respectful to the source material, and then farted it out. So
the director wasn't allowed to make it R-rated. MGM said, nope.
Yeah, but that's the thing about Hollywood. They're stupid that way, because you can't tell me an R-rated film won't make money. As I said, I keep using this example, Deadpool. Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
So, and also, if something's R-rated, it seems to attract more people, especially kids who want to break that rule of the R-rated and see it. And kids are going to do that anyway by hook or crook. So, you might as well just make the film how it was intended to be, rather than trying to aim for the wider audience, which never works. Ever works.
And when I see disasters like, somebody mentioned The Last Jedi, the whole entire Star Wars franchise, what they've done to Star Trek, they don't care about money. So when they come to me and say, oh, the bottom line is about, we need to make money on this rated, we can't make it rated R. It's like, no one's watching your garbage anyway. At least make it satisfying to the people who would come back and enjoy, cinema now. Because so that money line has started to fall flat with me. It made sense a long time ago. You're like, oh yeah, it's a business. Oh yeah, they got to do this. Now, I mean, they get money. They just go to their investors and they say, hey, hand me money because I'm a legacy brand. And then boom, and then they crap out some terrible project.
I think that's what the problem is, because it's not their money.
No, that's true.
Well, it is their company, and they do want success. But somehow, I don't think that's their priority, especially today. Today's priority is to teach us something.
Yes, they want success, but they don't know how to go about getting it. Because they're not following a proper profit motive. They're following political dictates, and and they're under some sort of delusion that will somehow deliver the profit stuff. It's almost religious. If we believe that this is going to happen, then X will happen, and then they're surprised when the meteor doesn't come or the rapture doesn't happen, or all of this, and the money doesn't just flow into their stupid garbage project that has all the right buzzwords. It's a very bizarre time, and I hope
all the woke stuff.
It's a religion. I mean, it has all the hallmarks.
Like, for instance, this poster here, Superman and Lois. Was it really necessary to call it Superman and Lois? Why didn't they just call it Superman? You know what I mean? I mean, they had to put Lois in there. Why? I mean, even if the story was about both of them, why would you call it Superman and Lois?
In its defense, wasn't the Terry Hatcher version?
But that was different. That started out as trying to be a
was that over here called The New Adventures of Superman?
Yes, it was.
But over there, it was called
Lois and Clark. But the thing is, though, the whole idea of Lois and Clark was not to concentrate on a Superman character so much, but to concentrate on the on the relationship between Lois and Clark and move from there. But then as the series slowly got panned out, they realized that Superman was more popular than they thought, and so it turned into a Superman series. But with this, right, there is no need for Lois Lane's name to be in this title at all, because it's about Superman and his family. You know what I mean? And you don't even have to put family, you know.
And with Lois and Clark too, that was a play on words that worked really well with American audiences, because I don't know if you guys in Blighty are familiar with the famous explorers.
You're American, are you not?
I am. Yeah, my accent betrays me.
American folks.
And so there were some famous explorers in the 19th century called Lewis and Clark, and every American sort of learns about them. And when you have an L name ending with an S and then the name Clark, it just automatically sparks into most Americans' brains. Oh, this is something that's interesting, something that's cool, something that's adventurous, something I want to know more about. And so by putting those two together, boom, there you go. And it fit with the tone of the show. This is just sort of cramming in a woman who doesn't need no man. You notice in the picture, she's not really even gripping him. She's just sort of like fondling his nipple or something. Yeah, I mean, if you're 30,000 feet up traveling, at the speed of sound, you're going to be gripping onto him pretty tight. And she's not, because, she don't need no man.
So you guys have not watched it this week?
No, I haven't. I haven't had a chance.
Yeah, I'm going to say if this had been full-on woke garbage, which everybody was expecting, were they not? I think we can forgive Superman and Lois the name of it.
Yeah, it's a good show. It's a good show, but, it's, as I said, right, it doesn't matter what you do these days, right? They have made us see it this way now by pushing their agenda.
Yeah.
Like if you went back 10 years or, and you saw an advert with a black man advertising washing powder, you wouldn't think anything of it. But now, because they're pushing it so much, you see it all everywhere, and it kind of devaluates what they're trying to do.
Right.
And this is the problem that we've got. Now that everybody's aware of what they're doing, they don't take it seriously, or they groan. Because when I see an advert every time I see an advert, it's a white woman married to a black guy or an Asian guy. You know what I mean? It just is there no white couples anymore? It just makes you. I just groan.
Superman and Lois.
Yeah, well, I just groan when I see it. So
the boy wonder from Down Under's here. Just bear with me.
All right.
Hello, Matt.
Cool. Hey, Matt.
Hello.
You all right?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, we're not bad. Have you just woke up? Yes.
Yeah. I had to get up in the middle of the night. So
yeah, long night, mate. Thank you for being here, my friend. We're just talking Superman at the moment, so you've not really missed much.
I love that man. It's the only man that I'd actually turn gay for.
He's a good looking boy.
I don't think he's right for Superman, though. Personally, this actor.
Well,
I don't think he's right at all.
No. I don't know. I'm thinking about that other atrocity they've got in the future for him.
The episode was pretty good, to be honest. Obviously, there's been a bit of a hiatus between the last episode and this because of...
is it back on, is it?
Yeah, the coup happened. And if you look at the, you can tell there's been a considerable amount of time between when it was shot and this.
Oh, okay.
Because you can, if you look really carefully, you can tell there's probably a good few months later, as it were. So I am pleased to report that it was pretty good.
All right. I'll catch up with it soon.
But unfortunately, the viewing figures in the States have fallen on their ass.
Oh, gee, that happened to Buck Rogers as well.
The reason why it did is because they shouldn't have taken it off, and they replaced it with Supergirl, so it was bound to lose. It was bound to lose the audience, and they
got their audience.
They should have they should have just had it in reserve, and when everything was set.
I think if you're on a momentum and you stop, all your audience stop as well, and then if you're away, they forget about you.
Yeah.
So, and that's the case with me as well.
Habits.
Yeah.
Habit. Yeah.
It becomes a weekly thing, doesn't it? And then all of a sudden, when it's not on anymore, you're just like, I can do something else now.
I will say there was a scene at the beginning where you can see where all the budget goes. I thought it was very, very good. The special effects.
He still needs his pants, though, doesn't he? To break up that blue. Oh. It just looks stupid. But hey,
looks like his pajamas.
We all need pants on the outside, mate. So
we do. He does. Definitely, he does.
You know who I blame for that? Jim fucking Lee.
Oh dear.
Jim Lee did the redesigns. He did that, and he gave Wonder Woman a leather jacket as well.
Oh,
that lasted about 6 months, though.
Did she have one in the 70s, a leather jacket?
No, I think she changed to a dress or something. It was a bit weird.
Oh yeah.
But and she was more like Mary Tyler Moore in the 70s. But he did these redesigns, and like for the majority of them, they stuck, unfortunately, and I think that was one of them.
I think it's really a shame, really, because you could look at the comics and you think they're very sexist because of the way the girls dress and stuff like that. But it's not like they were only picking on the women. The men were muscle bound and square jawed as well, and they were all handsome. Men, So it wasn't like it was unjustified and it was unbalanced. That's why I don't understand why people keep screaming about this.
It's all bullshit.
It is, isn't it? I mean, Mary Jane's got to be good looking. Gwen's got to be good looking. The what is it? The She-Hulk's got to be good looking, even though she's tall. She's got to be good looking because that's the whole point of superheroes. It's the whole point of them, that they're like gods. Yeah.
Was I the only one annoyed that they did what they did to Mary Jane in those new movies?
Spider-Man?
I was like, you were not alone.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, please don't let her be Mary Jane, because there was that rumor, and I thought, oh no, and they're not calling her by that name, and then I found out she was, and I was like really disappointed. I was like, oh man. But I mean, even if it's Gwen, I wouldn't mind Gwen Stacy, but then they probably would have done the same there too.
But Peter Parker at this version, he likes his brown women, doesn't he? Because the first girlfriend they had was Liz, and Liz was brown, and now MJ's brown. So I'm just waiting for him to move on to the next brown woman. Do you know what I mean?
I'm so glad you didn't say brown sugar.
No, I'm just the point. I'm just look for me. It's like Mr. Brown. Say this stuff. Yeah. Move on to Mr. Brown.
He's gay now.
Don't give him any ideas, jeez.
But to be fair, right, in the comics, Liz was white, but when they did the Spectacular Spider-Man, which I love that cartoon, Liz was brown in the cartoon, so they just followed that. But MJ was always red-haired and white. Mm-hmm. So I don't understand why they changed her either. So, but there you go.
I will say I was slightly worried because of the time period between the last filmed episode and this episode of Superman and Lois. All the kind of, we might get some more woke creep, but I think we did okay. So yeah, as long as they keep it up like tonight's episode, I think, come on guys, we need to start watching it. Show our support.
The kids are starting to annoy me. I'm sorry, but especially that kid. No, but that kid that's supposed to be, anxious and everything. It's nothing fucking like that. He's suddenly got a girlfriend. He's going for the football team. It's a load of bullshit. All that, they just didn't do their research at all, and I knew they were going to go that way. It was going to be forgotten about, and that's exactly what's happened.
Yep.
Okay, so shall we move on then? Yes.
Yeah.
Hopefully the technology won't let me down.
Here we go. Strikes Back. The worst poster ever. The worst poster ever for Empire Strikes Back.
What the hell happened?
I hate that poster. Yeah, I hate it. I prefer the other ones.
Do we know who did this one?
Don't know.
Philippines.
This poster is an original poster that's for sale on the Tinterweb. £650 if you want it.
They can keep it, mate.
Cambodian. It's Cambodian.
You know, I prefer the Darth Vader's mask and the stars. That was quite a good poster.
There are better ones. That are very similar.
Oh, yes.
Looks like Luke has been blacked up.
Yes. Yes.
You know the character out of
Hello,
Star
my
Trek
baby.
where the faces, one half was black and one was white.
Yeah, but they had to. It looks like they've tried to even out the poster because on one side they've got Lando and on the other side they've got Luke. So
we've got some nice Thai bombers.
Yeah, I remember seeing this poster for the first time when I was about 8, I think, or 9, because I've not seen the movie, and this was must have been up in a shop or somewhere anyway. And I was looking up at the poster, thinking like, "Whoa, what are they? I've never seen those. My God, they're like TIE fighters, but why are there 2 of them?" I was getting really excited because, and think, "Oh no, what's Leia doing? Leia doing being Han's girlfriend? I don't like that. She's supposed to be with Luke. What's going on? What is this film? What is it?"
What did they do? They got rockets coming out of the bombers, have they?
Yeah, that's a bit weird. Yeah, that is weird. If it's a bit of creative license there, haven't they?
Yeah.
If you look at Landau Calrissian in the bottom right corner, he does look a little bit like the kind of gay cavalier, the kind of gay gender fluid.
He looks like Black John Travolta. Black John Travolta, that's what he looks like.
Staying alive.
I mean, I know it was a very sort of inhospitable, bright and sunny environment on Tatooine, but that's a hell of a tan. And I think by the time that they'd had the time jump between the first and second movies, I don't think it would have been that dark. But in space, no one can see your tan, can they? Really?
I guess not.
That was always the thing with Next Generation, where they come back for the beginning of the the season, Star Trek: The Next Generation. The first few episodes of the new season, they were always very, very well and incredibly tanned, weren't they? Obviously, they've been on the sunbeds or
they've been on the vacation planet. They've been on the vacation planet
on Risa.
Yeah, meeting con women.
I mean, the poster I remember is the one with Han and Leia. Like the Gone with the Wind, and all the rest of it stuck up the side. I don't know if you remember that poster.
I think I do. I think it
was like that. It was like imitating Gone with the Wind, and Luke's on the Tauntaun in the front, and and Leia in the back, and Darth Vader's mask is half, and got C-3PO. I don't think you have Lando on that.
Boyfriends with him.
Sorry.
I said Luke Skywalker's got his boyfriends with him. C-3PO and R2.
Tauntauns are very nice with a sweet and sour dipping sauce, apparently.
Tauntauns. They were brilliant. What a brilliant design.
I had that toy with the open belly.
Awesome. They're just so believable. They look like something that really would exist maybe on Earth, but it doesn't. We don't have anything like that, but they really do look like something that would exist.
Have you seen that thing on Disney Plus? I can't remember the name of it, but they actually have like starscapes, and like you can go to the planet Tatooine and go to planet Hoth, and it's like you're doing like a flyover. And as you're doing a flyover, all the things some of the things that have been happening in the movie actually are happening while you're flying over. Have you seen that?
No.
What's this Starscapes? What's this all about?
Oh, I'll find out the name of it, but it's on Disney Plus, and it's part of the Disney Plus thing. And what they do is they have done those things that they used to have in at the cinema. And you used to be able to do like a plane. You're in like a plane and you're going over the valleys and all that sort of thing.
Yeah,
that's
kind
what
of
it was.
360 thing.
Yeah. But one of those. Yeah, they got them like a Disneyland or something. And it's really strange. I was meaning to tell you about that, Matt, because I was like, because you were talking about how much you love Hoth and everything, and I thought you'd actually like that.
Yeah.
They're brief. They're only about a couple of minutes long, but
I'd like to see it, right?
Let me see if I can.
Who used to call Tatooine Tatooine when they were young?
I used to call it Tattoon.
Yeah,
I
that'd
didn't
be
know it was an
Commander.
I used to call it Tatooine.
Tatoonie.
Jesus.
It's called Star Wars Biomes. Biomes.
Right. Okay.
I don't know what that means, but yeah, and it's like, little segments of landscapes. It's really nice.
Shall we? We'll just ask the first experience of The Empire Strikes Back with each of the guests. So, Commander, what was your first experience of Empire? Where did you?
My first experience of Empire was I didn't see it in the theater because I was too young. I probably saw it about 2 or 3 years later when it broadcast on TV, and my grandma recorded it, and we just spent like every day watching it, day after day after day, and it was a pretty neat thing. So I don't remember exactly when, but it probably would have been like 1985, something like that, when I first saw it. And it was really interesting because, that was one of the first like live action movies that I'd seen all the way through. It wasn't cartoon or anything. It was pretty heavy subject matter for a little kid, but it really introduces you to the what's going on in Star Wars.
And did you totally get it?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it. I think some of the subtleties of like the politics going on in Cloud City and sort of like the deep introspective stuff that Yoda was teaching Luke, I sort of missed. Like later on, I just started fast forwarding through all the Yoda stuff because I'm like, this is crap. Where's the sword fights? But yeah, overall, yeah, it did. Some of the Han and Leia romance stuff. I'm like, I want to like that, but I have no idea what they're talking about. When they're like arguing in the tunnel, I'm like, I don't get it at all, but this looks really romantic. So, that I remember being sort of puzzled by that. But, yeah.
And none of us knew there was even an extra level to that too.
Right. Well, it kind of got like a little steamy there when like Luke was in bed and she's like, you don't know everything about women, and gives him a good kiss on the lips, and it's like, okay, and then but wait a minute, doesn't something, okay, what's happening here? So there were some question marks. But.
MC in the chat says, I saw Empire at the cinema several times, then many more on VHS. Same here, it was the old VHS days, mate. DVD, Blu-ray, and even Disney Plus now, one of my fave moves. It's a great film.
I've got to agree with MC there, but I want to ask him and you guys, they've done a lot of changes to that movie, since it originally aired, and maybe not huge substantive changes, but little ones that really, like, I can't watch the new Disney offerings. I can't even really watch the Lucas, remastered ones where they like changed some of the Darth Vader lines and cut out some scenes and added some stuff. It's like, I don't like it. I'm wondering what you guys.
I bet, you know what?
What's the?
You should watch Empire Strikes Back Revisited. That Matt 2 sent me.
It's exactly
that is the best version.
Yeah.
The best version of Empire Strikes Back ever.
Please do send it. Yeah, I'd love to see that.
Commander, you will love it. You'll absolutely love it.
If you guys remember when Darth Vader is leaving Cloud City, one of my favorite lines as a kid is he just like mumbles to one of his side guards. He's like, "Bring my shuttle," and then keeps walking on. And then when they remastered it, it's like, make sure that the Super Star Destroyer does this and this, and then go over here and do that and that. And like, I looked at my best friend, because that was one of our favorite lines. When we go to get the car, it's like, "Bring my shuttle," and then we're like, "What the hell did we just hear? Oh my god!" Or put down that blood.
What about when they have the asteroid chase, and then our C-3PO says, "There's nowhere to go." That wasn't in the original. Lord knows why they put that line in there. There was no need for that line at all. But he literally says, "Ooh, there's nowhere to go," and it's like, well, that wasn't in the original. So some of the things that George Lucas put in, changed in the when he re-released it, didn't make any sense to me at all.
No, it was like we've got it. It's sitting in a B-reel somewhere. Let's just throw it in and see what happens, kind of a thing. And it's like, let's not do that.
But that is prepare my shuttle upon my arrival, or some nonsense like it. That
yeah.
It's like, what? Why?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Swappers, when did you first see Empire?
Oh, I saw it like after everyone else. Everyone else had the jump on me. It was. I'll tell you what, the buzz for it in 1980. Was it 1980?
I
Yeah,
think so.
When it was released? Yeah, the buzz for it
41 years.
was unlike anything I have ever experienced before or since for a movie. And it was because Star Wars was such a massive success. Everyone was just clamoring for something, a new one. They all knew it was coming, but they thought, oh my God, we're going to experience that magic again. And boy, did they ever, but in a different way. But, being an 8-year-old or whatever I was, 8, yeah. I was just hearing it on the radio, seeing clips of it on TV, seeing the comics, seeing the toys in the shops, hearing every single other person on the playground talking about it, like their dad worked on it or whatever, everyone's sort of saying, oh, my dad knows this person who works, that kind of thing. And they didn't at all. They're just trying to impress everyone. But there's this unbelievably huge buzz about this film. And it was like Christmas almost, that everyone was so excited for this film. And I desperately wanted to see it. And for whatever reason, my parents never got around to taking me to the cinema to see it.
Ooh.
I don't know why. They knew how crazy I was. They knew how crazy I was for Star Wars, and they didn't do it, right? So, although around about that time, I did go and see Wrath of Khan, so that kind of made up for it a little bit. But
okay. Okay.
I absolutely loved Wrath of Khan, but but the Empire I never got to see, and every other kid had seen it. Every other kid had the toys. They had the books, the posters, the merchandise, the blaster pistols, the lightsabers, whatever. Everyone knew everything that happened in it. Everyone was spoiling it for everyone
Apart
else.
from you.
and apart from me,
Poor
I'd
Matt.
read the comic. I'd read the comics, so I knew what happened. And I loved it. But and the comics were really well drawn as well. They were so well represented of the actors
the
and
comics
everything.
as well.
Incredible artwork back then. Marvel
Wish
did,
they'd kept them.
they were great. Yeah, they were great adaptations. And
They were.
the only way I could experience Empire was by rereading constantly the comic, and it just wasn't the same. And Jedi got released before I got a chance to see Empire actually on screen, but I kind of got that. This is probably why I loved Jedi so much, is because I got to experience a Star Wars movie at the same time as everyone else, or before everyone else did, because I watched them like opening weekend. And it was kind of like my revenge for like not being able to see Empire when it was on. And of course, back then we didn't have video cassette recorders. We didn't have any means of seeing these films at home. Either you see it in the cinema, or basically you're never going to see it.
We were on the cusp.
2 years away for a video release, and back then you were very lucky if you even had a video cassette.
Very
recorder,
true.
right? So you were doomed if you didn't see it in the cinema.
Yeah.
So it was ages and ages and ages. I didn't see it until I was about like 11 or something like that, 12. I didn't think it was a long while after. And when I did see Empire, it was all bittersweet, because I knew everything that happened, so nothing was a surprise to me. But it was wonderful being able to finally see everything on film and hear the sounds and hear the dialogue and see everyone acting at each other, and so I could fill in all the bits that weren't were between the panels in the comic that I never got to see because they weren't you don't miss everything when it's on screen. It's all there. That was my experience with it. Really, my earliest experience was a non-experience. It was through the toys and through everyone else. So that's probably why it's not my favorite, but I'd still love it just as much as the other two.
Yeah. Mr. Pott, first experience of Empire?
He's gone to sleep.
Hello. Sorry, I'm just cooking crumpets.
Crumpets.
I thought you were doing it in line, so I was listening, but I thought
Killing
Mega
the
Geek
string.
would go next. Anyway, so
String killer.
All right. So
First experience, Empire Strikes Back.
Well,
Don't let your crumpet burn.
I don't know if you have. No, we don't. I have a proper crumpet toaster. Anyway,
posh.
so anyway, we love our crumpets, especially with honey on them. So I remember. See, this is my least watched film ever, because when Star Wars came out here, it was a bit later than the American release, and for some reason. And then, because I remember my brothers and sisters, they all had like the posters and that up on the wall, and I already knew about. I was only about 4 or 5,
Right.
but I remember them. There was a photo that they showed me of R2D2, and there was a little midget inside, and so that sort of
Kenny
ruined
Baker.
it for me. Yeah. And so anyway, I was like, oh, okay. And then I was around at the show one year, and because you don't really worry about movies and that sort of thing when you're 4 or 5, unless people show them to you, because it's not like you go and you look at the TV guide to see what's happening, And there was a T-shirt, and I think you guys call them fairs. I don't know. We call them shows here. And so anyway, we're going around this it's like a fair. And anyway, they had T-shirt transfers. They were the new in thing where they had like dazzling glitter and everything on the actual shirts.
Very 70s.
And one of them, one of them was of this little green man. And I just instantly fell in love with him. And so my mum,
Yoda.
yeah, oh yeah, well, I hope so. And so, no, he was actually a little green man. He's fantastic. So anyway, my mum got it for me, and I was so proud of this shirt that I had, little Yoda, and I didn't know who he was, and it took about another 3 years before I actually got to see the film, and it was okay, but to me, first film I ever got on, we actually ever rented was Star Wars. So, for our new video cassette player that we had, Top Loader.
Top Loaders are great.
Oh, aren't they? They still are. I don't know why they got rid of them.
It's the big clunk.
Yeah, I guess. But this was it. So that was the first movie to ever get released, like on VHS, the Star Wars, and then for years later, I remember the holiday special. So I thought that was sort of like a sequel. So maybe I thought I was watching the sequel. I'd already seen it, So, but when you're a kid, you don't know any different. So, so I think the first time I actually went to see a film was Return of the Jedi with my sister. And I loved it. I loved the Ewoks. I love everything about it. It probably doesn't stand up today, but especially to all the previous films. But on a standalone, it was actually pretty fun.
I think we'll wait for the special edition. Are we not, Swap Shop? Sorry.
Return of the Jedi Revisited. Yeah, and I don't know when it'll be. I need to check their website to find out if there's any updates. But I'm guessing sometime later this year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I've got to get a copy of that one too. I forgot to download
Can't wait.
it.
Done a really good job on the Empire.
Oh, it blew me away.
Oh, have they?
Yeah,
Blew me away.
really good.
I love my favorite part is there's a lot of stop motion animation in it, and I love stop motion. So, yeah, and the Tauntauns, when I actually first time I ever got to see them was there was a walkthrough that they had here for Return of the Jedi, and you could actually, you had to pay money, and you walked in, and it was like a cupboard, a very long cupboard, and when you walked in, there was Yoda was in his little swamp and all this, and then when you come out, all the merchandise was up for sale, and so they had a Tauntaun there, and I begged it with my mum to get the Tauntaun. So, and then I had to have the man that goes in the Tauntaun. So, so I got both, but and it was Han Solo, of course, and it was that's really my Empire story. I never really got to see it until maybe it wasn't even shown on TV here as much as Star Wars and Return of the Jedi was,
There would have been a considerable delay. I think normally it was about 3-4 years over here.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think the Star Wars stuff, it was considerably later, wasn't it? So, yeah. Because it was so big that, yeah, it'd have been down to getting it at its most cheapest, which would have been a lot longer than the normal kind of 3-4 years. Mega Geek, first experience of Empire, and then do you want to do the Selfridges quickly?
No, I saw Empire at Flea Pit Cinema. That was my first experience. As I said before, there's two cinemas where I lived: Ruby and the Granada. Granada was up the hill, and the Ruby was down the road. So you normally go to the Ruby because it was closer. And when I first saw Empire, the scene when the walkers was coming over and attacking, that's when the film broke. So the film broke, and everyone went, ooh, you know, when the film broke, ooh, like that. And then everybody was going, boo. And we must have sat there for 15 minutes before they sellotaped the film back together again.
Wow.
And played it from that point. And then everybody was happy. But, you know, I mean, those days are really special to me because, as I said, you know, I'd see a film in the Flea Pit and then I'd save my money to go and see it in a proper cinema down the West End. So that was the first time I saw Empire. Really, really feeling a bit upset towards the ending of the film because they didn't win. But such an amazing experience, though, because I don't know if you guys know, you probably are all mostly the same age. Everybody's mostly the same age. But do you remember when you watched the film used to weave and there was all scratches on the film and little blips and stuff? But that's how I saw Empire. Yeah, in the worst state possible, you know. And I think one of the frames was black and white as well. Yeah, I can't remember what bit it was. I think it was when he's walking down a corridor and he sees Han Solo being taken away and Princess Leia. I think there was 5 frames that were black and white or something like the copy they got for their cinema because they obviously got the cheapest print ever.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, so
anyway. Just pretend it's a Grindhouse movie.
Yeah, well, you know, when I first went to see Scanners, I don't know if you remember the film. There's this bit in the film where the main hero had to scan someone on the phone. So the version I saw is he goes into the phone, then he suddenly starts speaking French, and I thought it was part of the film for some reason. And then when I remember when I saw it years later, I was like, he's speaking English, but it was obvious that when they obviously got the cheapest print they could get, and obviously one of them was screwed. That one of them had a couple of frames had French dialogue in there. So, you know, that's how I saw films. And you know what? I was angry when I got pissed off when I was there. But, you know, when I look back, it makes me smile.
It's more of an experience because you remember it for the stuff that went wrong, which usually makes it better, really.
Well, it makes the experience more... Yeah, I mean, when I saw Scanners, it was together with The Howling because they used to have double bills Saturday nights. So the first time I saw Scanners was in that state, and then straight after that, it was a 15-minute break, and then you'd go in there and you'd see that I saw The Howling, which was great as well. So yeah, but I mean, I don't know if you guys remember those days, but hey.
I'm a little bit too young for that kind of.
I'm probably older than anyone here.
Yeah,
probably.
Yeah, just a little bit too young. Yeah. I will ask: is Empire your favorite film from the series?
Yeah, mine's Empire, definitely.
Yeah, mine is as well. Swap Shot?
No, it's always going to be Return of the Jedi for me. But there's not much in it. There's not much in it. Jedi will always be more special to me.
It's the experience, wasn't it, for you?
Yeah.
Commander?
I would have to say Empire for me. Yeah. Jedi is a close second, but Empire, nothing beats it.
Happy memories with Gran?
That's right. That's part of it. Yeah. I just think overall, the story carries very well from beginning to end. You know, the suspension of disbelief is never broken. And it's, you know, the special effects are
it's just so well written,
top.
If anything.
Yeah.
I'm kind of guessing with Matt, it's Return of the Jedi.
Yeah. I'm with Demonscythe on this one.
Yeah, more of the kind of experience. Yeah, you're probably at the right age to appreciate.
Yeah. I think it was made for me.
Teddy bears.
So we say when
leave him alone.
When George was when he was writing the film, he had you in mind specifically, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I know George on a personal basis. He eats it. He eats at our KFC.
The food court, yeah.
He was the one that sent you the crumpet toaster.
yeah.
I will say before we move on, Robert Meyer Burnett said his local cinema, I forget where it was in America. I think it was playing for over a year. That's how popular it was.
I know in the old days, if you used to go into Flea Pit Cinema during the day, you could sit there and watch Empire Strikes Back or any film over and over again. You pay 50p to get in, and it would play.
Yeah,
you could stay there all day.
Is there a reason why it was called the Flea Pit? So?
Because it was, well, we used to call it the Flea Pit Cinemas because it was literally the chairs were bouncing with fleas.
Dive.
There were fleas.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
I had that funny feeling.
And you know, when you walked on the carpet, it was all sticky because you know coke and shit was all over it and stuff. And
not the drug either.
You know, and they used to have a cat running around as well in the cinema because obviously there were mice.
Yeah, pussy.
So the cat would chase after the mice and stuff.
I like pussy.
But it never seemed to bother anyone because Saturday nights it was packed, mostly with black people because they love their horror films and they would be screaming and they'd sneak beer in there and stuff when they weren't supposed to. And in those days you could smoke in the cinema, so it was always like a fog when you're watching a movie. So it was an experience and a half. It really was.
You'd come out of the Empire Strikes Back stoned.
Well, you know what? In those days, if you went into the pub or the cinema, when you come home, you basically take your jacket off or your trousers, whatever, and you hang it up outside. You put it outside the balcony.
Burn it.
So you know you could just get all the smoke out of your clothes.
It.
Yeah.
That would be very useful for you, wouldn't it, Commander? You could just pop it in the volcano and away you go.
Yeah, that's right. Incinerator instantly.
As I just said, Ian said there were cats in the cinema, and I am a pussy person. Commander, you're more of a dog person, are you not?
I'm more of a dog person, but cats have their place, you know.
Okay, so
but they were allowed to bring in their dogs in the cinema as well.
Oh my god!
The dog would be chasing the cat.
I kid you not, right? Saturday nights, you would have a whole family would come in, and they didn't care because they would let 12-year-olds go and see horror films. So they didn't care. So like families would come in and it'd be like 9 o'clock in the evening, and families would come in with their kids and stuff, and the Howling's playing. But those cinemas were so poor. They just appreciate the money coming in.
So yeah, I know. You would have brought your dog along.
The dogs, the dogs are going to watch the Howling.
But you have to worried if they took them.
But you have to understand, right? In those days, right? It was more of an event. So when you went to the cinema, people were talking all the way through the film. They were talking all the way through the film, and then when something special happens, everybody would be screaming at that. You like, for instance, when in the Howling. In the Howling, you could still hear the film, but in the Howling, people were talking like it was their living room. And then when there's a scene in the Howling where this guy takes a bullet out of his head and he starts changing into a werewolf. When that happens, everybody's quiet and they're all screaming. And, you know, you got a black guy in the background going, "Frying tonight!" And everybody's laughing. And, you know what I mean? It was like more of a, you know, it was more of a...
Yeah, I think they're more nervous than anything in horror movies. So that's probably why they were talking so much.
I will say it is a very American thing with the cinema audience kind of just being buzzing and going mental and clapping and cheering.
My very first American cinema experience, right? And I couldn't believe that they were eating freaking hamburgers in the actual cinema, and big, like, not little hamburgers, not little like Big Mac hamburgers.
As well.
I'm talking about big, massive, and I'm like, and they were made on site, you know, and onions and everything. And as soon as they eat, you know, they're just splurting out. And I'm like, and this is like a number one, like a gold cinema, you know. And I'm like, that's just crazy. That would never ever happen here because, you know, they spill everywhere and, you know, have to clean up. But obviously they had people to do that. But I couldn't do that. No way.
It is. It's a totally different experience in Blighty at the cinema.
You have an ice cream cone, don't you? And you just sit there and
people just sit there and they're totally silent, and people get pissed off if people start cheering.
Well,
or
now
stuff
they
like
do,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, but you got to remember, like, you know, you have that whole pantomime thing where you just go in and you go, look behind you, you know, and all that sort of weird shit.
That was pantomime. Yeah.
One of the only films I have ever seen where literally the crowd were buzzing and they were up for it, and it was kind of shouty and, you know, was Trainspotting 2. We were all up for it. And for some reason, we were just all up for it.
That's Ian's favourite actor, Ewan McGregor.
It was a very, very good atmosphere in the cinema.
You're only upset because he's on with Winstead now.
You know what? You know, I saw The Exorcist when I was 12, and my dad took me to see The Exorcist. But, you know, because I said in those days they didn't care; they were just grateful for the money. So you would come in, you'd pay your money, and they didn't, you know, they just turn a blind eye to whoever you're taking in the cinema. And when you got in there, no seats were booked; you just sat anywhere you want. You know.
Did you look the other way like what's her name, Linda Blair did?
I tried to.
That was a good joke, everybody. By the way,
I tried to introduce my 5-year-olds to my 5-year-old nephews to the Exorcist, and my sister absolutely nearly shit herself. She said, "No, you're not fucking putting them in front of that."
And I'm like, "Got
to start them early, you know."
But you know, I mean, horror films were it was like a roller coaster ride, wasn't it?
Yeah,
horror films in those days.
Yeah.
Because I think what started the certificate was Sam Raimi's Evil Dead. When Evil Dead came out, that's when all the government was like buzzing about we should give these films certificate and kids shouldn't be allowed to watch this. And I remember there was I don't know if you guys remember, there was a film called what is it, 5 Signs of Death, and it was a video. It was on VHS and it was real deaths.
I
can't remember what the title was called, but
Faces of Death.
I saw
and
that.
it's available now on YouTube too.
How is it? So
it was.
I remember that being pirated.
A chicken goes chopped off.
Yeah, and the one that always sticks in my mind is when the police come and they shoot this guy in the roof, and it's real footage. They shoot him and he falls off the roof, and that's always sticks in my head. That's the first time I ever saw someone real get killed on film.
Commander, do you have that problem shooting the ninjas off the ceiling of the volcano?
No, they usually fall screaming into the volcano, so there's not much, there's not much disposal.
My first snuff film was the Twilight Zone with when what's his name got it got done by a helicopter. If you've ever seen that one,
Twilight Zone.
Yeah, you know the Twilight Zone movie.
I saw it. Yeah, I saw it.
Yeah, and a helicopter falls on top of him and decapitates him, but you don't really see it.
Yeah, you don't. But it's you know, in those days, those things were selling like hotcakes, weren't they? You get a pirate version.
They actually showed it on the news, and it was whoa.
But yeah, so I mean, as I said, those days were special for me, because there were some unusual times, people used to eat chalk ices in the cinema. There was no other ice cream selling but chalk ices, and they used to eat them in a truckload, and smoke like there's no tomorrow.
I could never work out why they never sold them in the shops.
Because they sold them in the cinema.
But what happened was during the whole COVID thing, was that they had an overabundance of all these chalk tops, so they ended up having to sell them in the supermarkets here, and they were the exact same ones, that you actually get in the cinema.
Yeah.
And they were glorious. So me and my mum were just I bought a whole heap of them, and we just sat there and watched movies, at home. And well, we call them chalk tops here, but it's it was an amazing experience even at home,
Right then, guys, shall we move on? This week on the Twattersphere, and I think Swap Shop will agree with me on this, 1987 seems to be popping up a lot. This picture was popped up quite a bit, so I just thought, well, there are some quite good films on that list, so I kind of compiled a list of 1987 films. So for the last hour, shall we kind of shoot through them?
Sure.
Yeah, there's a lot in 1987. I was going through the list when you mentioned it, and I mean,
Wow,
it's just
what a year.
nonstop. Oh yeah, I mean, coming after 1986, you know, I don't even see how some of these guys made multiple 3-4 movies in a year. You know, yeah, that's something else.
I was actually 19 in 87.
I was a little older.
Moving on.
I was a little younger.
Okay, so that was the picture. So what I'll do is I've included the films on the hoardings as well as some others. So in kind of no particular order. So we'll just kind of blast through them for the last hour, yes? So hopefully the technology won't let me down. Okay, so on the list was... There you go. Predator.
Good film, Predator. I thought it was a really good movie, and it was a manly movie because they were all men. Weird men.
Even the alien was Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Yeah, well, no,
at first.
did a bit, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good movie though, and it was Shane Black wrote
Still
the
a good movie
screenplay.
now, mate. Still a good movie now.
Oh,
But,
that chain gun.
Arnie obviously was in his prime, and I still will never, after everything that happened in that movie, I'll never forget the scene where he meets Apollo Creed, and they clash hands together, showing their muscles. Talk about testosterone, you know.
And they sit there for ages, don't they? They sit there for ages with it. They're like, yeah, come on.
Yeah, but it's a great movie though. It's a terrific. You know, if they were going to try and copy Alien, this is the best way to do it. You know, change the ship for a jungle, make the alien, you know, look different to the alien in Alien, and put a big movie star in there, and that's exactly what they did. So,
you know what would have been great if they'd have put like Arnie in with the aliens and put Ripley in with the Predators.
That would have been interesting.
How they work it out, yeah.
That's
a crossover.
In the chat says first Arnie film I saw. Wow, that's a proper baptism.
Well, it spawned all those memes, didn't it? Get to the chopper and
get to the chopper.
Yeah. Was that other line where he goes? Was it?
You are one ugly motherfucker.
I've got no time to.
Ain't got time to bleed.
That's
ain't
it.
got time to bleed.
Yeah.
MC says Predator was great in the cinema. The reveal of the alien face blew me away. Yes, Stan Winston's work, superb.
Yeah.
Well, just look
ugly motherfucker.
Well, he had dreadlocks, didn't he? He looked like some of my neighbours. Basically, so I wasn't really scared when I saw it.
Did everybody see it at the cinema? Yes, I assume we all saw it at the cinema.
No, I didn't see it at the cinema.
I never saw any of those at the cinema.
I saw it at the cinema.
It was rated R. I didn't see it until like high school.
I was only a baby.
He can't see me. He can't see me.
Luckily, I was just old enough to go see an 18. So yeah,
great movie.
It's such a great movie. It's just so boy's own. It's very of its time. It's such a guilty pleasure. It doesn't pretend to be anything else, does it? It's just what it says on the tin.
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely.
The direction's great. Arnie, it was peak Schwarzenegger. Spaceships, aliens, big fucking guns. What more do you want?
Yeah.
It annoyed me he wasn't in the sequel. They had Danny Glover instead, which was a bit, which was like, it was like, you know, it was
set slightly in the future, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, yeah, because it was like all gangs and everything, wasn't it?
A very stupid sequel, if you ask me. But
Concrete Jungle. Ooh.
Yeah, it's just a bit daft, but you know, there you go.
Did
it have Buddy Holly in it?
Sorry, was a question?
I was just saying that they did sort of the same thing, Concrete Jungle style, with the Jurassic Park sequel, The Lost World, where it's like
I like that.
Oh my god! I mean, it's doable.
I love the last 15 minutes. The rest of it was shit.
Well, I'll agree with the second half of that. But I would extend it to generally the whole movie. If they had been done differently, they could have done it. But anytime you take something and move it to an entirely different setting, whether it's like it's not outer space, but now it's here, like they did with Battlestar Galactica, or if you do like it's here, but now it's in outer space, or it's in the jungle and now it's in a city. It's like,
you want some bad news?
Just, what's that?
They're going to do that new Jurassic Park is actually going to be set in the city now.
I heard something about that. I can't even. I'll just go back and reread the original book.
But they've got all of them in it, isn't they? The new one, they've got all the old cast in it, so it's going to be interesting.
Yeah,
it was supposed to be filmed last year, but then the cough happened, and then they couldn't do it. But they've already what's his name, Sam Neill. He's been posting a lot of photos of like the three of them, like Laura Dern and what's his name,
Jeff Goldblum.
Jeff Goldblum. Yeah.
Well, Laura Dern is dead to me after Star Wars, and
Sam Neill.
I'm sorry, she'll always be the hot blind girl out of Mask for me. She's take advantage of that one.
MC in the chat says, "I love Predator 2." Kral, I like Predator 2. It's okay as Predator 2. Yeah.
The thing is, though, you would have thought that when
downturn, that's for sure.
when they tried to bring back Predator after the Predator versus Aliens thing, you'd have thought they would talk to Arnie and say, Can you come back for this one? Because he's the only one that survived. So it makes sense that someone would go back to that character and say, well, how did you survive? What's your tips, do you know what I mean? But they never did it.
He was busy because he was doing Kindergarten Cop.
Gosh, yeah.
He was. He's beating up bullies.
The director was John McTiernan, wasn't it? The same guy who did Die Hard.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, he dealt with it.
He was on with he was on with what's her face? Gina
Carano?
Oh, what? No, not Carano. No. The one out of Gina Davis. That's her. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they did Cutthroat Island, didn't they?
They did. Yeah. Well, no, that wasn't him. That was Rennie Harlan.
Oh, okay.
Rennie Harlan did Cutthroat Island. He was the one that directed Die Hard 2.
Yeah,
he did. Yeah, directed Die Hard 2. But this film is so good. It's a boys' film. It's a if you want to see someone with muscles beat the crap out of people and just have a good time. Predators,
good
one
soundtrack as well. Alan Silvestri, great soundtrack.
Yeah, it's a good movie. It's a really good movie.
It's one of the few DVDs I actually own. So
I've never owned a copy of Predator. To tell you the truth, maybe I should.
You can get it for about £4.
You can get the. I always wanted to see the 3D version of that one.
Yeah. So you got this guy here, the Indian guy. He was in 48 Hours. The guy at the back, the black guy at the back, he's a director now. He's directed a couple of movies. I know that.
The one with the glasses is pretty well known behind the scenes too.
Yeah.
Over here.
Shane Black is one of them. Yeah, Shane Black.
That's Shane Black, isn't it? There.
Yeah, with the glasses.
Jesse Ventura.
And Apollo Creed. Apollo Creed was amazing. At that bit where he gets his arm shot off, you can tell he's hiding his hand behind his back. That bit was stupid, but as I said, it's a great movie. I remember going to see it knowing nothing about it, and that's why I enjoyed it so much, because I didn't know anything about it. So
for me, being 19, it's Arnie. Let's go.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good movie. Absolutely.
It is.
And when
I watched when they did Commando, I watched Commando recently, and the first 5 minutes of that is actually, if you put like a 90s sitcoms theme song over the front of it, it's exactly like that, because they're like eating ice cream and everything like that, and I'm like, is this the same fucking movie? You don't
Probably
pick up
better.
these things till you're much older, you know.
I think they were trying to show that he had a gentle side to him before he started killing hundreds of people.
As a father.
Yeah. Do you remember that bit where they pulled out the engine out of the car and he just pushes the car and he drives down the hill without no engine in the car? What a great scene!
I think they flipped the actual film too. In that
Oh, did they?
Yeah. I let him go.
Oh yeah, Sully. What a great movie! Arnie, so fun.
So what we're saying is you slack-jawed faggots enjoyed the film, yes? It's a great film.
It's a great film.
Still great now. Still absolutely still great. I think I might prefer the second one myself, but the original was just so original, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, as a sexual Tyrannosaurus, I like it. So there you go.
So there's only two people that survived in that film. Was the
girl
and Arnie, wasn't it? And everybody else died.
Yeah. Okay, so another newspaper clipping we saw was
I never saw Lost Boys. Even to this day, I've never seen it.
So you've got Lost Boys, Robocop, your favourite film, Jaws,
You haven't
The
missed
Revenge.
That shark is bad breath. Yeah, that one.
Which is
A lot of half-naked boys in that one.
Dragnet.
Dragnet was
It's only 'cause of
funny.
the director.
Dragnet was funny. I thought it was funny.
It was
Thank God
okay.
it's Friday.
It had the Art of Noise soundtrack, so I liked it for that. So we'll see what I've lined up for the next picture. Oh,
Mr. Cop, Robocop.
oh. Swap shop. Do you want to go first?
I remember seeing an ad for this might have been like something like Starburst or maybe 2000 AD or something. I can't remember now. I read so many magazines and comics back then that I couldn't quite remember. But yeah, I remember seeing the ad for it, or maybe just an image, not even way before it was even advertised. Wondering what it was and who, what is this all about? Who's this? I'm trying to figure it out. And then I heard someone talking about. I think it might have been the article next to it talking about it and saying that it's basically like a Judge Dredd movie, but with a slightly different character or something, And I didn't quite piece it all together at the time. But when I actually did get a chance to see it on home video, which was most of the way I watched most films back in the 80s, I was just loving every single second of that film.
So good.
Every second of it. And it was kind of like a comedy, like a sci-fi, hard-hitting, hard-edged, gritty action movie, which was quite serious in a lot of aspects, but also comedic as well. And the balance was sublime between those. Verhoeven got between
predicting the future.
Yeah, and the kind of dystopia, and which is a lot of it seems very similar to today. With riots and things that are going on, and sort of lawless societies in some cities. They really did kind of view the future quite accurately, but I love the way it was it was 80s, but it was also still the future. They got a really good balance, and it was things were still sort of CRT screens, and they didn't quite go too advanced with it, so they didn't want to make everything seem unbelievable. They wanted to ground it still.
Yeah, give me my goddamn phone call.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Guns.
Yeah,
Mr. Potts, you like Robocop?
Well, I actually played the video game before I actually watched Robocop.
Very, very big merchandising. Yes,
I did that.
Yes. Lots of video games and stuff. Yes,
too young for
Data
Robocop.
East.
I had to wait till my brother actually rented it from the video store before I could watch it, and it was pretty brutal. For it wasn't really a kid's film, is it? But no, it was good. It was good. I mean, I can't really remember that much about it. I haven't watched it recently, but I think the sequel sort of ruined it. Yeah, I think the sequel sort of ruined them. It should have just stayed that one.
Murphy, it's you.
Murphy, it's you.
It's you.
I really love that bit. I really love that bit where he says, "Nice shooting, kid. What's your name?" And he turns around.
Murphy,
I thought, oh, that's so sweet.
Fuck
And
yes!
I was disappointed. I was disappointed with the second film. This kind of like they forgot his humanity and just made him Robocop again.
Yeah, and they're like, I
that.
want a fucking replacement, and it's like, but you were being nice to him in the last film, and now you're being an asshole to him.
Yeah. It didn't make sense, but I thought that film was just perfection on its own.
You know why? Because that was Frank Miller. I don't like Frank Miller.
Yeah, Frank Miller messed it up. Actually, no, in fact, that's not true. Frank Miller had a really good script and the studio messed it up, basically.
Oh, that's what he says.
That's what he says, yeah, of course.
Well, Frank Miller did an amazing crossover comic between Robocop and Terminator a few years later that I bought every issue of, and it was absolutely fucking amazing. This comic made out like a movie.
He had the complete control over the Spirit movie. I don't know if you remember that one.
Yeah, I remember it. Yeah.
And it's only because of Scarlett Johansson. Yeah, but he had complete control over that. He didn't, and yet he was friends with Will Eisner, who does who was the creator of the Spirit, and he just passed away. And I think, well, you totally and utterly fucked that up. So I've all lost faith in him. Anyway,
well, even he admitted he was out of his depth. I mean, the reason why he got all that power is because of Sin City, and everybody was looking at him like he was a golden
300
boy.
As well, wasn't it?
But he had no idea how to direct. He had no idea how things worked, and they just shoved him in there. So even he admits that
they should have hired you.
Yeah,
that's fun. Yes, Commander, you a RoboCop fan?
I've become more and more a RoboCop fan. I think with every passing year, and I think it's like you guys were saying earlier. It's because culture, reality is starting to become more and more like RoboCop, and so you can get some guilty pleasure out of it. I like Matt. I think I played the video game before I ever saw the movie, and then, but once I did see the movie, I thought, this is a really good film. It was just fun to watch as a teen, but then you get older and you sort of see all the little elements that they threw in there. And then you realize it's a Paul Verhoeven movie. So there's like comedy, but also like really like heavy, gory elements and just wackiness all sort of thrown in together with a good Basil Poledouris score. And,
amazing.
That guy's a genius. And, and you've got just sort of, it all comes together. I think it's very quotable movie. We can all throw out the RoboCop quotes, and it's a lot of movies that are just strings of quotes. They don't really hold up well in rewatch, but RoboCop does. RoboCop absolutely.
Thank you
does.
for your cooperation. Good night.
Yeah.
You'll suffer with an emotional trauma, madam. Your move, creep. And but
absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, the sequels. It's one of those instances where the sequels, kind of like Jaws, I guess, are just so egregious and unnecessary and damaging to the original movie. Yeah. But if you can only look at, because I've rewatched RoboCop, a bunch of times, but I've never rewatched the sequels, and I never want to. I just want them to fade away
into back director Irving Kershner.
I've got the TV show.
Oh God, no.
Oh, I forgot about that. I'd forgotten about the comic crossover too with Terminator. I never got a chance to read that, but that's just because I ran out of money.
And
that
Batman.
Was really, really good.
But that's Hollywood going, oh yeah, okay, right. So it was an R the first time around. Let's try and make it for kids because he looks like a toy we can sell, and that's what destroyed the franchise.
Mm-hmm. Totally. Well, and it's ironic too because kids like me, we saw it's a rated R movie. Oh, we can't watch it, whatever. And they made the toys, but at least we can play with the toys. Wow, this is really awesome. And then when RoboCop 2 came out, we already had the toys. We liked the character. We watched the movie, and we're like, this is dumb. I mean, what do we want this for? And then we just threw the whole thing away, and I only came back to it later. And so they really, again, it's Hollywood chopping off their nose to spite their face.
I never saw the cartoon either.
See, the thing that attracts you to RoboCop, especially when you're watching the film, is Murphy's plight. Like, Murphy gets destroyed, and then he's rebuilt as RoboCop. And RoboCop wants to find out who he is. And that's the thing that made it for me. Even though it had violence and had the comedy and stuff like that, I really did feel sorry for Murphy once he discovered who he was and he couldn't go back to his wife and his kids. And, he was a completely lost soul, wasn't he? And the only thing he had left was to be a cop and look after
he can feel his family, but he can't remember.
Yeah, exactly. You know, that scene where he goes into the house and he's trying to remember, and he sees clips of his wife saying, you know, he loves her and all that stuff, and then he comes out of the house really confused, and those kind of things made this film work. But when you watch the remake, it doesn't have any of that stuff.
I never saw that one.
You know what?
Is it any good?
No.
I'm going to make a very bold statement. I think everybody tomorrow should watch Robocop.
Robocop.
Because it's such a great film.
It is, yeah.
Well, you know, Peter Weller too.
Weller. Whoa.
He was unbelievable in that role, because it's so hard to emote, like you were talking about, through a mask like that. You know, luckily we were able to see the lower half of his face, but I mean that's all you can really see. And it was, you know, but he was able to sort of extend that pathos directly to the audience, you know, just through his actions, and no one else could have done it. You know, no one else could have done it. And yeah. The guy is amazing.
I'm such a massive fan. I'm such a massive fan of Peter Weller.
Mm-hmm.
It makes you wonder how he actually fit into that car. He was so bold.
He couldn't. Apparently, he couldn't. When you see the scenes where he's driving in the car, he had the top half for the kit. He was just driving in his normal tracky bottoms because he couldn't fit in the car.
I remember when I saw this, I thought to myself, they can make Iron Man now. I thought to myself when I was watching it, I remember. I was like, they can make Iron Man like this. But yeah.
Has anyone seen the Our Robocop movie, or Our whatever it's called, remake thing, where all the fans got together and they reshot loads of scenes and they edited them all together with all these fan-made scenes into the actual film? Has anyone seen it?
Is it good?
It's called Our Robocop recut or Our Robocop reshoot, something like that. Anyway, but if you look up on YouTube, you can kind of see all the parts. There's one particular one that a friend of mine pointed out to me a few years ago. He said, you need to watch, just look up Our Robocop remake on YouTube. And I went, okay, all right. So I looked it up, and it was the only scene, it was the first scene that came up. And it was like, apparently all these different scenes have numbers, but this was the first one that came up, and it was specifically the one that he was referring to. And it's the scene where those two guys are going to attack that woman in the alley, and they're kind of like teasing him. Yeah. And he pulls up in the car, gets out, and then shoots her. And gets the guy behind in the crotch, you know, and he's like on the floor going, oh God, right? And then from that point onwards, and I don't know how they did it, but they recreated the whole thing perfectly, right? With different actors and everything, but it looks perfect. Lighting, sound, everything. It's just amazing. Wow. But from that moment onwards, when the guy's rolling on the floor, clutching his broken dick, it delves into extreme levels of absurdity. And I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but you've got to see it because it's one of the grossest and most hilarious things I have ever seen in my entire life. But utterly absurd. You've got to see it.
What's that called again?
I think it's called Our Robocop remake. Yeah,
right. Okay.
It's like Scene something or other, but it's the one. I mean, I'll try and look for it and I'll post it in the chat just so you can see.
There's so much love for Robocop on YouTube. The amount of videos, it's just so many videos.
It's a good film.
Yeah, I remember the first time I went to see, I was at art college, and I went with my friend, and we went with the graphics tutor, and we knew nothing about it other than looking at it. It looks fantastic, and it's, you know, we didn't even know Paul Verhoeven, total unknown entity. So when Mr. Kinney gets blown away on the model of Delta City, me and my mate just looked at each other. Our jaws were on the floor.
You have 10 seconds to comply. Yeah.
Mr. Kinney has one of the most glorious deaths in cinema history.
I wonder how many squibs he had on him.
All of them. All of them.
As if that wasn't bad enough, and then he goes out the fucking window. And then they're all looking at each other going, oh shit.
I did download a lot of pictures for Robocop, and realized when I was downloading them that what we should do is probably just do a stream about Robocop. I have been threatening for a while to do a Robocop stream, so I think we should pay it some love at some point. So much love for Robocop. I'd say for me, probably my top 3 film. I just
Robocop,
love
they had
it.
the adverts in there as well, didn't they?
I
Remember
just
the
love it.
adverts they
I just
made
love
up
it.
as well? That was quite fun. You know,
Such
statements
a
and stuff.
good film. Such a
Yeah,
good
it's a
film.
good movie.
Social commentary, just
That's
like
what it
Total
is.
Recall. Just
Yeah.
like Total Recall, where they had that.
Yeah, the party, Richter. Yeah, totally cool.
Anybody seen The Lost Boys? I know
haven't
I've seen it, but I
haven't
can't
seen it.
remember a lot of it.
Can't
Not
comment.
my
Yeah.
bag. Not my
Long time
bag,
ago.
really.
Not in a long time. I haven't seen it.
It
It's
was
got Jack
massive.
Bauer in
that
it, though,
one.
isn't it?
It has.
Jack Bauer. Jack.
I just remember a lot of naked boys in it.
Written
and
by
so it's not my
Joel
sort of thing.
Schumacher.
What a surprise.
Yeah, that's why. That's
Yeah.
why.
Corey Feldman.
He likes his nipples.
Well, he was gay, wasn't he? Or was he?
Yeah, he was.
Probably.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was.
Did it have
Joel
Alex
Schumacher.
Winter in it as well? From
Yes. Yes, Bill and Ted. Yep.
excellent.
Very funny. That was all right.
I think
I
I've watched
haven't
it once.
seen it.
I can't remember.
Yeah,
I
it's
can't.
not a
Saw it on
strong...
TV once, and
Just
I
not my-
just didn't
Not
take.
my bag.
No, I didn't take. Lethal Weapon came out in '87. That was a
We'll
great
get
movie.
into it. We'll get into it. Shall we move on then, boys and girls? Nothing to
Nothing to see here.
move along. Move along. Okay, so here we go.
Oh,
Full Metal.
Shot in England.
Yes,
Shot
it
in
was.
England.
Swap Shop. I think you can post those links in the chat. 'Cause you're a mod.
Aha. Yes, I can see it now.
Yeah.
Robocop. What is he? Who is he?
Yeah, Full Metal Jacket. That's an odd movie. My opinion of it is the first half of the movie is one of the best movies
It's a
of the
2-hour
decade,
film, isn't
and the second half of the movie is just complete garbage that might as well have not ever
it?
been
The
made.
Docklands stuff.
It's just like I don't care about these characters anymore. I'm not interested in the story. It doesn't follow properly. It's just a bunch of weird vignettes that somebody who had been in Vietnam might go, oh yeah, I kind of remember that. And a few quotable lines. And I honestly don't even remember how it ended. The movie, but the first half, with R. Lee Ermey and the boot camp and Vincent D'Onofrio.
Private Pile.
And yeah, I was just yesterday watching an interview with Vincent D'Onofrio where he was talking about his experience in the movie, how he got casted, being friends with Matthew Modine and had to go over to England. And I was like, oh, it was filmed in England. The whole
Docklands
thing. Yeah.
in London.
The best part of the movie was British. Good stuff, and also bad stuff.
Yeah, Kubrick had his local prostitute dens there in England, so he had to go there. So
The thing is
Jesus.
about Kubrick is that he was well into his art, and even if you didn't understand his art, he didn't care. What he cared about is what he wanted, which is kind of, I don't know, directors like that. I think are very selfish. Do you know what I mean? So
Thank you, MC.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's weird because my understanding of how this, all went down, because I've heard R. Lee Ermey's story about how he got cast, and then Vincent D'Onofrio's story about he got cast. Those two guys, without them, this would have been like a weird Matthew Modine movie with some fun Adam Baldwin stuff that nobody watched and wasn't interesting, especially coming after Platoon. But those two guys, who were sort of there by accident, made the entire movie. It might as well not even be a Stanley Kubrick movie, because it's just like,
Yeah, I agree with
I want to watch these two guys, and then I just want to turn the movie off when
you want to see what Kubrick did. You just look at what he did to Shelley Duvall in the end.
72 takes, mate.
No,
72
well,
takes.
have you seen her recently?
Shelley Duvall.
That was his doing a lot of that.
Oh my god.
I mean, she's ending up on Dr. Phil now, so. But he really did some major work on her. He really did. So I've
Swappers,
never
anything
ever.
to say about Metal Jacket? Sorry, Matt.
No, it was kind of a sort of a real worldy movie that didn't really resonate with me at all. I remember my dad renting it, and I kind of sat there and watched it, but I wasn't really paying attention to any of it at all.
Yeah, I like the first half.
It was just a huge glut of Vietnam movies in the 80s. There's so many of them. I couldn't tell them apart in the end. I just thought this is just another one of them, you know.
I would say, yes, there was a lot of kind of straight to VHS, low budget Vietnam stuff. A lot of them were actually probably better than this film.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Platoon.
I liked
Platoon's
the
really
first
good.
half of this, the boot camp stuff, and then it just kind of fizzled out. What do you think, MegaGeek?
I kind of agree with everybody. I saw this film and I wasn't impressed. I don't really like Kubrick films at all. I think the critics love Kubrick more than more than movie
Punters.
geeks.
More
in my
than he
opinion.
loved himself,
Because have you not noticed that every time Kubrick puts a film out, the critics are raving about it? And I always try to be honest with myself. When I went to see 2001, I just thought it was boring and nonsensical, apart from the howl scene. I remember not buckling under the pressure of all my film friends saying it was a classic, it was a masterpiece, and I would just sit there and go, no, it ain't. Yeah, and they would look at me strange. And it's the same thing with most of Kubrick's films. I think he was too much into what he wanted and didn't really care. The difference between him and Spielberg is Spielberg had imagination, plus he knew what the audience wanted or catered for the audience as well as catering for himself. But Kubrick just catered for himself. And I think that's a big mistake when you're a filmmaker, and that's what he did. But it was the critics that kept Kubrick up there.
Yeah.
But just take it from me, majority of people that went to see this film was disappointed. If you read a bump on this, they'd say, oh yeah, people love this film, it won this and it won that, whatever. But all right, let's put it this way. If any of your parents here went to watch this film, do you reckon they'll enjoy it? I don't think so. I think
it's average at best.
Yeah, I think the best test of a movie is if your mum comes out and says it was good, I understood everything. I think that's the best test of a movie.
Well,
if your mum could understand it.
We had some of those cheapy VHS Vietnam movies, and my mother would watch those a lot. We only watched Full Metal Jacket once, so
it
was just average.
Overindulgent.
I've kind of got a question because for you guys being all Commonwealth folks, and I think Australia, committed in the Vietnam War, but you guys fought in the Vietnam War too, but Britain
we did.
didn't. So there was a lot of experience, the Vietnam War movies being Hollywood, and then they're spread all over the world. But they had a real resonance with Americans of a certain generation for different reasons. But in Britain, would they have? What was the reaction to those? It's just like, wow, what's this? I don't get it. Or were people still tuned into what was going on and the reason these were being made?
Well, in those days, basically, it was you went on the word of the critics or went on the word of the review in the newspapers. And now we know most of it was manipulated anyway. Yeah. So when I went to see this in the cinema, I enjoyed the first half. The second half was absolute nonsense. So, and a lot of people felt that way when they went to see this film.
Okay, so we'll move on. So average at best, would we say?
That's what I think.
Very, very much a film of two halves. Go watch the first half and then leave.
Yeah, well, never mind.
Hellraiser was 87.
Was it?
Anybody want to start off?
You know what? I can't remember it. I saw it. I can't remember it at all. Not at all. That's my review.
It wasn't my bag. I watched it.
No.
Wasn't my bag.
It's like Kubrick as well, where it was more of about a guy's weird sexual fantasy type shit that they like to put in their films. Because I think that's Clive Barker, isn't it? And Clive Clive Barker's a well-known sadist. So it was when I first saw it, I was like, "What is this shit?" And I mean, it still doesn't hold up at all. It's terrible, and the acting's awful. The acting is shit.
Not according to Cruel Birab. Got Hellraiser 1 to 4 and Judgment, and then MC says Hellraiser is a great horror movie.
Can't remember
past
it.
the first one. No, they don't even show up to the end of it. You know, it's really weird.
I probably agree with MC, but it wasn't my bag.
No.
I don't. I remember going to the cinema to see it, but for the life of me, I can't remember anything that happened in it. I think I saw 3 of them.
Yeah.
I think there were more. There were 4 films or 5 films of them. I remember some woman getting strangled on a chair. I remember one scene, but that's about it, really. And obviously Pinface and the other monsters, but that's about it.
He needed a good hammer. He did.
He did. And what's the hammer for? Knocking in nails. Commander, any thoughts?
No, I never saw any
moving
of
on
them.
Then.
Yeah.
No, I don't like this film. Sorry, everybody hailed it as some kind of genius piece of filmmaking. I just thought, I saw it and I said to myself, "Is this what people are raving about?" I just thought it's absolute nonsense.
I don't think I've seen all of it.
Just
Swap
rubbish.
I think I've tried to watch it, expecting some kind of really snappy, sharp comedy, and it just went over my head. Whatever people found great about this film totally missed me.
Yeah, same here.
Commander.
I mean, were they all gay in that film? That's the question. You know, I just remember bits of it now.
Probably.
You know, who's that big fat guy? Griffiths, whatever his name is. Richard Griffiths. He was in it, and he was playing a gay character, right? And that's about as much as I remember.
My friend was well into it. He loved it. He just thought it was amazing. But I didn't get it. Anyway,
I don't really want to know your circle of friends. Oh,
Beverly Hills Cop.
No, number 2. This is
the heat is
Yeah,
back on.
2.
Apparently, the heat is back on.
The worst sequel ever, in my opinion.
You know what happened? I got a story about Beverly Hills Cop. There's this place that does movie soundtracks, and it's really hard to get the soundtracks to a lot of movies. So anyway, I bought these things online. These I think it was He-Man and all this. So I got all these soundtracks and that, and then they arrived, and I was so excited, and I opened them up, and they were 2 copies of Beverly Hills Cop 2 soundtrack, and I was like, "What the fuck is this?" And I straight away took photos. And I sent them to the company. I sent them to the company, and I said, "Who the fuck would buy this seriously and buy 2 of all things?" And so they didn't even ask any questions. They just sent the right ones. You know, they were like, "Oh, sorry."
Harold Faltermeyer. It's a good soundtrack, though.
No, but it was it's a bit shit actually.
The reason why this film didn't work is because if you watch the first one was all about him having no money, you know, have a crappy car, and he was in the land of riches, which was Beverly Hills. And then when they did the second one, even when he was in the Bronx, he was dressing like $1 million, and the photography was brilliant, you know. And it just kind of
Tony Scott.
Yeah, it kind of made a mockery of the first one, because even when they were in the office in Detroit, everything looks so plush and
slick,
well lit and stuff, and you think, well, what's the difference between that lighting in Detroit and Beverly Hills? It's the same. And the story was terrible, was nonsensical, and Eddie Murphy was trying too hard to be funny, and it just didn't work for me, this one.
Yeah,
anyway.
I mean, this came out the same year as Golden Child, didn't it?
Oh, Golden Child, I remember that.
He turned down Star Trek 4 for that, didn't he?
He did. He did.
And the rest is history.
Yeah.
I like Golden Child.
Shall we move on?
Yeah.
I was disappointed with Beverly Hills Cop 2. It was okay, but didn't have the magic, did it?
Some movies never need sequels.
Speaking of magic,
hey, one of my best action films ever made, in my opinion. Fantastic movie.
Two
Loved
cops. Glover carries a weapon. Gibson is one.
No Jewish people. No good.
I'm too old for this shit.
What's interesting about this film is that he was meant to be 50 in the movie, Danny Glover's character, so he was retiring. And so they made 4 films after this. And he
With another one on the way.
Younger, didn't he?
You know what? When I'm at work now, all I go is, I'm too old for this shit.
It's just, the reason why I like this film so much is because the action was so cool for its time, especially the fight at the ending, and Riggs running down the street with a gun in his hand, after a car just on foot, and the bit where they were torturing him. It's just a great movie.
There's a fucking weird one where he's got an escape hatch in his caravan.
Oh yeah, that's the second one. That's the second one.
Oh, is it the second one? Sorry.
Yeah, it's the second one. This is the first one was.
Get them mixed up.
I love the first one because the first one you did really feel for Gibson's character, didn't you? Because his wife had gone. He was that scene where he was about to pull, shoot himself in the head. That scene, and he didn't do it in the end, didn't he?
This is Donna, isn't it?
Richard Donner.
Yeah.
Eric Clapton soundtrack.
Music, yeah.
Written by Shane Black.
Yes.
You know those movies, actually, the first 2 were pretty good, but as soon as Joe Pesci started showing up, that was when it all fucking went downhill. And then all of a sudden, Joe Pesci was in every single Lethal Weapon, and then Chris Rock. And
I don't know why. Yeah, Chris Rock, waste of time. First one was brilliant though. The first one had the edge. It was really violent and
made Mel Brooks. Mel Gibson.
It made him what he is today.
Yeah. But that bit where always makes me laugh, the bit where he jumps off the building with that guy, and as they're falling, you could see the handcuffs come out. Yeah, come apart. But they just left that in the movie, obviously. But I guess they can correct it with visual effects these days. But
they can fix it in post nowadays.
Yeah, they can. Yeah. It's a great movie, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's like a James Cameron film.
Maybe I should say to everybody in the chat, homework: watch Lethal Weapon and RoboCop.
Lethal Weapon's brilliant.
I quite liked 2 as well.
2 was good. 2 was good.
Diplomatic immunity.
With Joss Ackland and Patrick
He just cracked me up every time. He's like, diplomatic immunity. Immunity this.
Watch the plastic. I'm having some painting done. I remember that line.
Is that the one where they were going around using a compressor gun to kill people?
I think that was 3.
Oh, was that 3? Was it?
The third one wasn't very good. The second one was fun because of apartheid. They used that as one of the bases for the second movie.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, so it was a fun movie. The second one, the first one was brilliant though.
I was really young when the first one came out, so I had to wait a while to see it. But I really, really enjoyed it, man. It the violence it blew me away, really, in a way that it was really visceral the way it was directed, and the action sequences, the fights and stuff. It was so real. And I kind of, when the film was over, I was kind of like, my breathing had been so short throughout the entire film. I kind of sort of relaxed and felt relieved when it was over, But I really enjoyed it. But I when it came out, the second film came out, I preferred it. And I thought, wow, there's not many films that you get a sequel that's better than the original, And for years and years and years, I've thought that, and I've just loved those first 2. The third one I absolutely adored when I saw it in the cinema. But if I saw it today, I might not be so kind to it.
Yeah.
MC says Beverly Hills Cop was great at the time, but I have no desire to watch them again.
The heat is on.
I did watch Beverly Hills Cop recently, and it's good.
Judge Reinhold, come on, it's good.
If anything, it's good for Stephen Burkoff.
Yeah,
absolutely. It is. Its top draw is Beverly Hills Cop, even now. I will say, my mother, God rest her soul, loved Lethal Weapon because we had the VHS. When they came out for a tenner, Lethal Weapon was on quite a lot. So yeah, such a great film. Should we move on? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Another great film.
It's a
I
good
love
film.
This one.
Commander, do you want to go first?
Oh, sure. This is good. I like this one because it's a comedy. You've got the combination of these two guys, because their comedic style is so completely different, but in the movie they made it work somehow. I don't know. It's one of those odd couple type movies, but you feel the plight of sort of both men in the movie. I don't know. They do a really good job of sort of conveying, and so you're it's like, instead of putting yourself in the seat of the protagonist, you're like, wait, which one is really the protagonist? I feel really sorry for the John Candy guy. He just wants to make a friend. And then the Steve Martin guy, he's like, he just wants to get this guy to leave him alone and go see his family. And you're just drawn in through the whole movie. I think it's a classic. I don't know. I was, when you mentioned this movie, I was looking up John Candy stuff, and I'm like, Spaceballs was the same year, so John Candy was an extremely busy character that
in such a short space of time. Yeah.
Because
Prime Candy, Prime,
right, late 80s is great, but it's a good kind of a holiday type film. It's one that I like to watch every year or so if I can. And
it was made when Steve Martin was funny.
I still think he's funny. I like Steve Martin. I think a lot of people look. I think Steve Martin's a comical genius. Actually, he really is. And the problem is that he's aging. Obviously, he's gotten a lot older, so his thought patterns have changed. But when he was in his prime, he was really funny.
Yeah. I'm going to agree with that. I think I almost would say comedy's changed rather than the Steve Martin's changed. It's the same with Bill Murray and some of these other guys. They're just as funny as they were, but we expect something different from our comedians. But when you go back and you look at it, you could rewatch any one of his movies and they're just.
I was going to say maybe we should rewatch this one again because it is such a great film.
Yeah, it's a Thanksgiving movie, and it doesn't really to me. It doesn't translate because we don't believe in.
So it's going to be
Thanksgiving,
Christmas.
So,
okay.
I mean, we don't believe in the massacre of thousands of Indians. So,
or turkeys,
MegaGeek,
that's each year.
I do think it's a good film, and the ending always gets me when they say goodbye and he's on the train going home and suddenly realized that the John Candy character wasn't really telling him the truth.
Great
and then
music as well.
Takes takes the train back to him, doesn't he? And you can see how sad the John Candy character really is. And you do feel for John Candy, even though he messed up most of his time trying to get home. You just felt sorry for him because he really didn't have anyone.
Did he do it on purpose?
I don't think he did. I think he was just looking for
his wife died.
Yeah, his wife died, but he was just looking to get his mind off it. That's why he was trying to he was literally trying to help the Steve Martin character, but he was so bumbling and so foolish. He didn't realize what he was doing caused him more pain,
When you have people that are like, I really can't stand people that want to be liked. And they just go up to a complete stranger and want you to like them, and that sort of that irks me. I'm like, leave me alone, that sort of person. I'm like, fuck off. What's wrong?
But that was the gag, right? That was the gag. Because you put yourself in Steve Martin's place, and it's frustrating to watch it because you're like, why doesn't he tell him to just piss off? He can't, obviously, because Steve Martin is who he is. He's he was brought up to be polite to a point, wasn't he? So
that was the same year as Roxanne too, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, Roxanne was fun.
Another reason why I like this film, there was visual gags.
Yeah.
When they're in the car going up the wrong way on the freeway.
Yeah.
Squeezed between the two. And then it's the devil.
Yeah.
And the one what always gets me as well is, when they're in the back of that hick pickup with the dog and it's freezing.
Yeah.
And John Candy is going to pick up this sheet or something and this fucking Alsatian just appears from nowhere. Going, ah! And then about 5 minutes later, you just see them all in the back of the because they're driving through the plains in the middle of winter, and they're all frozen, aren't they? There's Candy and Steve Martin. The face of red and the shivering, and then there's this fucking Alsatian just frozen solid with like icicles hanging off, and it's just the visual gags as well. Really took this up a notch. It was just, and it was well written.
That was what the humor was in those days. I mean, if you look at something like I don't know, what's that one with Eddie Murphy and was it oh god, when he was poor and those two guys in
Trading Places.
Trading Places. If you look at the humor in that, and you look at the humor in Trains, Planes, and Automobiles, it's kind of very similar. Yeah. You had gags from the people that were funny, but you also had visual gags as well. Both of them. Yeah.
Plus, Cruel says...
Jamie Lee Curtis, topless.
Oh, yes. Cruel says as well, spot on Cruel. The, you know where he goes to the parking lot and the car's gone, and then he walks over the fucking airfield, and he goes, I want my fucking car, and I want my fucking car right now.
Yeah.
And he hasn't got the... because he threw the pay slip or the receipt away.
Yeah, yeah.
And then she goes, oh, well, you're fucked. Yeah.
And what did he do?
Film.
Slap her in the face?
No, he didn't. Yeah, couldn't.
He had to go outside, and John Candy was there.
Yeah.
Oh.
Great film. As I said, it's a great movie. I think it's a
Do
classic.
you like John Hughes movies?
I do, actually. I do. It's a shame.
Very strange, aren't they?
Well, he was. I think he knew exactly what he was doing, and he could make movies that audience understood. So,
do you think he had this weird, this weird sort of, I don't know, affliction towards, teenagers and that sort of thing as well? Because when he did the Breakfast Club and Weird Science and that, they were a little bit, they were quite sexual back then for those sort of things.
Home Alone.
Mr. Pott doing his best to kill the stream.
Well, it worked for Michael Jackson.
Stream killer.
But he died walking down the street. He had a heart attack in New York. He was just walking down the street and he had a heart attack and he died there and then. And it was sudden. Yeah, John Hughes. It was sudden.
It must have been a massive heart attack then.
It was.
No resuscitation.
Commander, you was going to say something.
Well, no, I was just going to talk about sort of his style and where he comes from, because I'm looking now at his list of movies and I don't see anything necessarily weird about it. It's just if you're doing movies about teenagers and you're doing movies about America, in certain aspects of America that he hits on in all of his different movies, you're going to get, there's a certain sexual tension, right? You can't do a proper movie about American teens, even American teens in the 80s, without there being that sort of underlying sexual tension. And I think that he played it very, very well. It wasn't tacky and it wasn't over the top and it wasn't overly necessarily sexualized, although there were parts that were, and so you look at Pretty in Pink and Ferris Bueller's Day Off and Weird Science and all these, and it's like there's memorable scenes, but it wasn't just like the whole movie was like raunchy or uncomfortable for audiences otherwise. I didn't realize he did Career Opportunities also. That was like a late 80s type movie.
Jennifer Connelly.
Jennifer Connelly. I know that's, I love that movie for one particular reason.
I've never ever seen that movie because I just want to remember her as the way that I remember her.
But the one thing about his films is that these films had heart. All of his films have heart.
Right, right. They were almost like Norman Rockwell type expressions of
Americana. They were an event, weren't they? John Hughes event. Except Home Alone 3. That was like...
That wasn't... Well, that was just a paycheck.
That was! He directed that film.
He did.
Yeah. But Uncle Buck was great.
Uncle Buck's a great film.
I didn't like it.
I loved Uncle
Cute
Buck.
girl in it as well.
I thought Uncle Buck was very,
very that's what's her name, isn't it? Jennifer thing from Uncle Buck. Isn't she the one out of what's the name? Natural Born Killers? Isn't it that one?
No, it's not her.
No?
Similar, yeah.
He really knew how to direct John Candy, though.
He did, yeah.
You know, he did great outdoors. And Beethoven. Speaking of I guess he did Beethoven. I didn't know that.
He did Beethoven. Charles Grodin.
Charles Grodin just passed away.
Rest in peace, Charles.
Rest in peace.
Grodin, yeah.
Oh, what a legend!
Midnight Run. What a film!
Yeah,
great film.
He got everything right about St. Bernard's. I can tell you that because we St. Bernard, and like I remember one day because we used to have to put my St. Bernard out the back, and one day he got inside the house and he ran straight up. And my mum had a waterbed, and she was on the waterbed, and he jumped straight up on top of the waterbed. This fucking big St. Bernard, 100 kilos. It's hilarious.
It's a good film.
We're all agreed. It's a great film, heart, well written, just all came together, and it's. I think it's a classic. It's a classic.
If you get something out of it, you get something out of it. You know, that's good for you. But like, as far as I'd never even heard of Thanksgiving before this movie. You know, it was just it's definitely a Thanksgiving movie.
Yeah.
I mean, I can understand why they did it, but like, it sort of loses translation for me anyway.
Okay, everybody remember this?
Yes, I went to the movies to see that, and everybody keeps saying it was a flop.
The old VHS.
To me, it wasn't.
Great film.
Well, compared to how much it cost and how much it made, yes, it was a flop. But it's a very entertaining movie as far as I was concerned.
Spielberg produced, Joe Dante director.
Yeah.
Gremlins.
Meg Ryan being
Cute.
Annoying.
She's cute in that film.
Martin Short was really good.
That was really fucking weird when he tried to kiss. When it went well, he actually did. He had this thing with Meg Ryan where he tried to kiss her, and like Dennis Quaid's inside him, and like he's just like, "Oh, can you just turn off for a minute while I kiss your girlfriend?" That was really fucking weird, even for me when I was I will
say, industrial light and magic shined in this film.
Yeah. It was like fantastic journey, fantastic voyage.
Fantastic voyage. Yes.
Yeah, that was it. That's the one. Yeah.
It's
a good movie, and it's enjoyable, and it's fun, and what more can you say about it, really? I thought it was a great movie personally.
It's in the vein of Galaxy Quest, such a great film. Then it becomes a classic afterwards because nobody kind of connects with it at the time.
Yeah,
and I remember buying the VHS. It's a great film.
That was my Martin Short introduction to Martin Short, and I mean I've always liked Martin Short since
Robert Picardo as the cowboy as well.
Yeah. When
that wouldn't happen today, would it?
His face started today,
would it?
Yeah.
No way would he be tanned up and putting on an accent.
Yeah. So great movie.
My favorite scene.
The one with the dildo.
What?
The one with the dildo.
There's a woman.
I didn't even know there's one with a dildo. I never rewatched this film.
The guy who had the robotic arm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's the woman, she wore white all the time. She's in the top picture on the left, kind of like a redhead. This guy, on his arm, he had like he could attach anything like a blowtorch.
Oh, yeah.
In one of the scenes, he attaches a vibrator.
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
No, there's one. There's the scene where
moving
the doctor
quickly
is running through. The doctor is running through the shopping center, and like he gets killed, and like the last thing he sees is like a guy in a penguin suit.
Yeah.
and I remember the whole theater just laughing their heads off, because it was like the last thing you ever see is a guy in a penguin suit.
Kral Birab and the money as usual. Vernon Wells. I assume that's the guy who played the baddie.
He popped that balloon.
Yeah, do you know he was in Invasion of the Body Snatchers, the original, and he was actually where they set the villain up. He was in is it an arboretum? It's like one of them like it's all like a garden center type things, and they actually had cocoons in the garden center thing in the background. I thought that was hilarious.
But you know what, right? Not Martin Short, but who's the guy, the main star?
Dennis Quaid.
Dennis Quaid is one of those actors, right, that should have been huge, but for some for some unknown reason, this guy never made it past the second hurdle.
Can I say why? Because he was the poor man's Harrison Ford.
Well, yeah, but I still think he had potential, though. He really does. I mean, he has star quality.
Potential than his brother.
Yeah, he has star quality, and it's a shame he didn't. You know, he didn't.
Enemy
go further in
Mine,
his career.
great film.
Yeah,
Enemy Mine, such a great film. Enemy Mine.
I mean, Meg Ryan, she, you know, obviously she became a huge megastar, but then suddenly she just disappeared. You know.
Yeah,
I don't know why.
I think it was the year after. The year after Top Gun for her, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Was she in Top Gun?
Yeah. She was the annoying girlfriend.
Yeah, Goose, and he got his gander cooked.
Oh, right, okay, yep. He did get his gander cooked.
He did. I think that is it, my friends. Shall we finish off?
Sure.
Well, isn't there a few more 87 movies that came out?
There's a... Well, Princess Bride. I want to throw out Princess Bride.
Oh, I hate that film.
That's an excellent one.
Yeah, if you want to, shall we? Yeah, 10 minutes, and then we'll call it a draw, maybe at 2:15. Is that all right?
Never fucking understand that film.
There was loads of films that came up. Princess Bride,
Harry and the Hendersons.
Harry and Hendersons,
Untouchables.
Oh yes,
Moonstruck.
Superman 4: The Quest for Peace.
I was gonna do that, but I thought no.
Thank you.
Masters of the Universe.
Yep, brilliant stuff.
Again,
Running Man.
Yep, No Way Out.
Canon thing. Well, there was also, Monster Squad.
So what I'm saying is, shall we come back next week for part 2 of 1987?
Almost good.
And then part 3.
And the Bond film, which was Daylights?
Living
Daylights.
Yeah.
Living Daylights was a good movie.
That came out. Yeah. Empire of the Sun. That was Steven Spielberg's movie of the year. And
that's one of my favorite movies.
When was Batteries Not Included?
Batteries Not Included was 87. That was 87.
Oh.
No, it was 87.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, that came out. Another John Hughes film, Some Kind of Wonderful. Was it Some Kind of Wonderful? Is that what it was called?
I never saw it, but yeah. With
Mannequin came out.
Leah Thompson.
Yeah. And one of my guilty pleasure movies, Overboard, which I would watch if that's on TV.
They remade
I would
that.
sit down. Yeah, I know, it's terrible. It's terrible.
They remade it.
Yeah, they remade it. Yeah. They switched the genders though.
They did, yeah.
Lord.
Oh, God.
Isn't that the movie where that they ended up getting married later on because they were?
Yep.
Yeah, that's a great story. That's a great.
They're already on together anyway.
I think it's so good. Every time it's on TV, I can't help myself. I just sit and watch it because I think it's funny and I think it's quite sweet as well. And I like that. I like the chemistry they have together as well.
Yeah.
And,
Leonard Nimoy had a huge hit that year with 3 Men and a Baby.
Yeah,
of course.
Yeah, coming off the back of was it Star Trek 4?
Yeah.
Good Morning Vietnam. Was that, speaking of Vietnam movies, the Robin Williams?
The great
Robin
Williams.
That was a great film.
What year was Stakeout?
I don't know.
No, that was a sequel. Wasn't a sequel that year?
Stakeout. Was it 8? It wasn't this year. It wasn't 87.
I think it was a little bit late, 88, maybe.
But I don't think it was the same year.
Yeah,
it was 87. It was 87.
Was it?
Yeah, it was 87. Yeah.
All right.
I don't remember anything of it. And didn't it have, what's the name in it? The lesbian lady in the sequel?
What was that?
Rosie
O'Donnell.
Rosie O'Donnell. Yeah.
I didn't see the sequel, but the first one was great.
First one was terrific.
Richard Dreyfuss has really let go.
I'm just looking at a list now. Death Wish 4 was out at that time as well.
I don't think we realised just how good we had it in 1987.
Yeah, I agree.
Fucking hell.
The late 80s. Oh my god!
Look, to me, 1984 is the best year for movies, bar none. As far as I'm concerned, you had Ghostbusters, you had Indiana Jones, you had there was so many great films that came out in 1984, like Gremlins, Star Trek
3.
Yeah, and you just I don't know. That to me was the year.
Well, for me, the 80s and the 90s, then the 70s, for me, movies were fantastic in those years. I found anyway, personally.
And let's not forget on TV, Next Generation fired up 87.
Yeah.
Oh, that early. That's
I mean, looking at the list now, there were some awful movies like Blind Date. Remember that with I think that was
Willis.
Oh,
Willis.
yeah, Bruce Willis. That was his first movie, wasn't it?
Yeah,
that was his first movie.
God,
Yeah,
Hudson Hawk.
Hudson Hawk. He made that film. Oh, and the biggest flop of them all, Ishtar with Warren Beatty and Dustin Hoffman. That was the biggest.
That's a fucking weird one, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's the one where they're like comedians or something, and they go to. It's sort of like The Producers, but a weird one.
Yeah. Can't buy me love. Never heard of that one. Police Academy.
Oh yeah,
4.
yeah. This guy actually pays this woman to be his girlfriend, and then she falls in love with him at the end.
Oh.
Yeah, I remember that one. That had the guy out of Grey's Anatomy, something like that.
Creep Show 2.
I think was it Evil Dead 2 or something out.
Evil Dead 2.
Yeah, Evil Dead 2 was out.
Oh, that was amazing.
That remake.
I was going to
remake.
mention that, but yeah.
Oh, what about this film that people have forgotten? No Way Out with Kevin Costner.
No.
That was a good movie, as I recall. Had a really good twist at the ending as well. Never saw it coming. Twist. It's really good. Wall Street. Greed is good.
Oh yeah, Wall Street. Yeah.
Cherry 2000 with Melanie Griffiths.
Yeah.
Witches of Eastwick. Now that was pretty big.
Was that Cher or something?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Jack Nicholson.
Evil Dead 2.
Raising Arizona.
Oh, that was a good film, Raising Arizona. I thought that was quite funny.
There's Holly Hunter talking like
Fatal Attraction.
Oh yeah, I did see that. Yeah, Fatal Attraction.
The movies we've just mentioned, right, are in history, and look how many movies within that year ended up in history that people remembered.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that year was dynamite, wasn't it, for cinema?
Are we ever going to? I just don't think we're ever going to get entertainment like that again.
Hey, you know what?
No.
Isn't Adventures in Babysitting? Isn't that another John Hughes movie? Oh no, it's Christopher Columbus.
No,
sorry.
Yeah, but they're both the same, really. Those two.
Yeah, I always get them mixed up. The two of them.
Yeah, I mean, look how many films that are remembered throughout history: Angel Heart, Hellraiser, Good Morning Vietnam. This is all the same year. 3 Men and a Little Baby. I mean,
the marquee was crowded.
Wow.
Yeah. That's just 4 movies I've mentioned that is down in history, or people remember.
Hollywood,
what can we remember about the last 2 years? Gone.
Yeah,
Nothing.
even the last 10 years. It's like, what did we have that
Marvel
could rival?
Yeah, apart from Marvel. Yeah, Marvel movies.
Wow.
But yeah, it wasn't really anything good at when you think about it. Let's face it. I mean, as I said, this year I'm looking at the list. It's just littered with films that people went to see and enjoyed and that are known today. Crazy, isn't it?
Hollywood would have just been awash with cash, wouldn't it?
Well, because the movies are successful. Hollywood Shuffle came out that year as well. Do you remember that one?
Yeah. Do you know what else came out that year? Like Father, Like Son with Dudley Moore.
Yeah.
Part of it though is they had talented and likable stars back then. I mean, Schwarzenegger and Weller and Candy and all of these people, Robin Williams. What do we have now? We've got none of them are hardly any of them are likable, and most of them are not particularly talented from what I've seen. So, especially compared to these guys. So it's like the raw material just isn't even there, even if they can throw billions of dollars at it, which they do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
It's weird.
All right.
Commander Culture almost did his best there to kill the stream.
I'm sorry, but you said.
Well, you're right, mate. Yeah, you're absolutely can't argue against it, my friend. You're absolutely spot on.
Like father, like son.
Hey, that's got Kirk Cameron in it too.
I know.
They used to do
okay.
the body swap movies. Sorry.
Nuts as well with Barbara Streisand. Do you remember that film Nuts? In Spain, it was called Loco, but there you go.
Is that like Yentl, where she pretended to be a man?
It's interesting. Well, these films
Okay,
are
guys.
interesting, man.
I will just say to everybody in the chat, cheers, guys, for popping in. As I always say, we are nothing without the interaction. So, cheers, guys. I'll just say a big thank you to the guests. Swap Shop, 2 streams in one day, mate. Well done.
I'm knackered now.
You will sleep well, my friend. Mr. Pott, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Enjoy your crumpet, yes?
Yeah, I've already had me bit of crumpet. It was nice with the honey.
You can never have enough crumpet, my friend.
Yeah.
Indeed. Commander Culture, thank you, my friend.
Pleasure to be here.
Say hello to the wife and pat the dog for me, yes?
We'll do.
Okay, and make sure stuff goes well.
Are you the only one here that has a wife?
Maybe. I know I do. If anyone else does, you can try them up.
No, I need to find one. I'll have to go to the Philippines.
God. And finally, the wonderful Mr. Ian David Diaz with his snotty nose. Thank you, my friend.
Oh, he's muted.
Indeed. He'll be blowing his nose.
Thank you very much. I'll talk on his behalf. Thank you very much. I've enjoyed it. Thank you.
Okay, guys. I think we are going to be around for Star Wars Day on the 25th. And I think it's also somebody's birthday that day. So I think we've got Ruin Johnson coming on again for some Star Wars fun on. It's Tuesday, isn't it, Matt?
It is. Indeed, it is.
So I think we're going to be on at about 9:30 on the Tuesday with the official kind of Star Wars Day fun. So I'll just say then, everybody, thanks for taking your time and joining us. Hope we've given you something that you enjoyed.
Hey.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I was gonna ask. Have you guys seen that Army of the Dead on Netflix yet?
Not yet.
With the new Zack Snyder. Okay.
I sent you a copy of it earlier.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I haven't looked because I've been asleep. Thank you very much.
Commander, we'll try and get you that Empire, yes?
Yeah, please do. I'm looking forward to seeing
And you
that.
probably want the Star Wars as well.
Oh, yeah. If you could
I'll
send
take
them
what you
two
got.
again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, just DM me the emails and I shall send them over.
Okay. May I give them your email, Commander? Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he already has one.
Okay. That's it then, guys. All
Thank
I
you.
can say is sleep tight. We'll see you soon. Take care, boys and girls. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
All right.
Bye.
Good night.